Love in Writing, a sweet romantic comedy. The Wonder Boys, Book 2. Written by Dana Lecheminant. Narrated by Mari B. and John Brattin.
1. All things considered, maybe being mauled by a dozen 12-year-olds in laser gear wasn't the worst way to go. It could have been death by a weeks-old diaper in the ball pit, and likely no one would have found him for months. At least this way he had an audience, and Ben Nakamura knew too well the irony of being so noticed. He had never been noticed in his life, not the way he wanted to be. For the love of all that is good, just leave! He knew he was begging, and he knew it wasn't helping anything. But at this point, he was seriously considering letting the group of preteens accomplish their goal of playing the world's longest game of laser tag. It wasn't like the fun center had closed an hour ago, or the kids' parents were growing more impatient by the minute. Or Ben could almost feel his phone about to start ringing with a call from his manager, wondering why the neon sign at the front of the building hadn't been turned off. Oh wait, it was all of those things. The general manager had an uncanny ability to know when that O'Reilly's Fun Center sign was still on after closing time. Ben suspected he had access to the street cameras and never went to bed until the sign was off.
"We haven't conquered Team Voldemort yet,"
one of the boys said. He was a particularly nasty-looking kid, with a kind of pinched expression that came from trying too hard to look intimidating. And he had managed to wedge himself between the ceiling and one of the many walls that created the laser tag arena, which meant he was a good 3 feet over Ben's head and firmly planted in his spot. Ben knew for a fact that the other team would not yield, which was the reason he was standing in the middle of the arena despite the very real threat of being tackled by someone not paying proper attention in the misty, black-lighted space. His attempt to turn on the lights and end the game over an hour ago had resulted in a particularly feisty 13-year-old girl from Team Voldemort screaming at him until he turned them back off. It wasn't that he was terrified of kids, but after working a double shift to cover someone who got sick, he didn't have the energy to deal with this tonight. And maybe he was a little terrified. "Look, kid," Ben said, doing his best to sound like he wasn't completely unnerved by the unseen movement all around him. All he heard were laser gunshots and shouts of preteen death threats. "I know it's your birthday, but I gotta close up the building. Your mom is waiting outside, and
Team Godzilla Dragon will never surrender!"
the boy shouted, and a resonating cry of
Sample complete. Ready to continue?